it kind of started then, and it got worse from there. I truly felt like I could not feel anything. Hey you guys, what is up, and welcome back to another video. And if you're new here, hello, my name is Rae. I am new here as well. As you can tell by the title, this video is going to be a little bit of a emotional one, I guess I could say. I actually have been wanting to film this for quite a while, and the reasoning behind it is not because somebody asked, because nobody really asked me, but because I know that it is back to school and a lot of people are either going back to high school, starting high school, just getting out of high school, or I don't know, maybe you're in junior high and you feel like this is something that you're already struggling with. So before I get any further into the video, I do want everyone to know that this video is going to be very sensitive, I guess you could say. It is one of those sensitive topics that you don't really want to talk about a lot, and that's why I'm kind of fidgeting, because I've tried to sit down and write it out, and like my voice is even shaky, and I get like halfway through and it's something that I feel like I really should talk about, because this is the whole reason why I wanted to create videos. I wanted to bring awareness to things like this, and I feel like this is super important. I feel like it's important that people talk about it and people don't talk about it. As you can tell by the title, this is going to be geared more towards people who are going into high school, but it is also kind of like a recount of my high school experience. And anybody who is in this, like who I'm like talking about, I'm not going to say any names, but if you were there, you know who I was talking about, and that's that. I'm gonna start off with, I had amazing times in high school. I have some of the best memories with some of the best people in my high school. However, I also most of the time was not in a very good mental state, and that resulted in me, in my memory, always remembering high school as this dark, scary place, and something that is really, it's a really emotional for me. Okay, so very last thing, I know this is a long intro, but I feel like it wouldn't be one of my videos if it wasn't a long intro. I'm going to leave links down below, and I'm going to say one more time, this video is going to be triggering to those who have had these instances. If you've ever struggled with depression, anorexia, eating disorder, self-harm, anxiety, anything of these sensitive topics, and you feel like it's going to be triggering to you, please do not watch. Okay, so first off, I'm going to start with freshman year. I know that there are a lot of freshmen out there who are super excited and maybe super nervous. So if you are one of those people, you probably are already getting into the swing of things, and you probably are already making new friends. However, I was one of those people who I only had friends with the sports team that I was associated with, my sport being cheerleading. So my freshman year, right out of the gate, I knew a lot of the kids that were in my classes because I come from a smaller town, and a lot of the kids I grew up from kindergarten or some grade in elementary school, junior high, like I knew all these people. And I was only close to my cousin, so I was always by her. All of her friends were my friends. I always hung out with her at lunch. If I could find her in between classes, I would go run up to her and walk with her to her class, or she would walk me to my class. And she was 2 years older than me, so I thought that was really cool that a freshman was hanging out with the junior. So quickly, I did start to have more friends. I actually became really good friends with one of the cheerleaders who was my best friend. We were actually friends in junior high a little bit, but freshman year kind of just really solidified our friendship, and I think we kind of just banded together as the loners of the cheer squad. Freshman year ensued, and almost immediately I had a boyfriend, and this was one of my first boyfriends. Yeah. So yeah, I dated this guy, and he was my first kiss. Really funny story about that. I was absolutely over the moon about him. I swooned. I just wanted to be everything for that kid, which in hindsight, now that I'm older, I'm like, we both were really extroverted, and if you guys know me like personally, like you've hung out with me personally, you probably know that I am pretty outspoken. I like to make people laugh, and it's actually one of my coping mechanisms. So basically, yeah, we were both extroverted, and me being around him, I just wanted to be everything for him, so that made me really introverted, which was not me. I kind of became introverted because I didn't want him to think that I was weird. Most girls with their first boyfriends or first partners, I guess, that sounds too sexual. With their first loves, you are nervous, you're scared, you don't know what to do, you don't want to be a weirdo, you don't want them to think that you're strange, so you just become this blank slate that they want, and that's what I did. I'm pretty sure you guys can see where this is going. He didn't like me anymore, we broke up, it became this humongous mess ball of trash. I don't know, it wasn't me. So, okay, moving on, spending way too long. Yeah, basically, we broke up, became a mess ball, over it. I wasn't over it. It took me a long time. And that is like so embarrassing to say because, like I said, I still follow this guy on Instagram. I don't think that anymore. I was so obsessed with what he thought of me, even though I didn't care. So as you can tell, this is probably when issues started coming up with me, because there was some messy stuff around it. I really became a people pleaser, I guess you could say, without being a people pleaser. I wanted to be funny all of the time, and I wanted people to think I was perfect. So I dressed in Hollister, Abercrombie, Gilly Hicks. Oh my gosh, freaking love Gilly Hicks! But yeah, I dressed in all of this stuff, skinny jeans, Converse. I was dressing for other people. Skirts, pinks. I never liked pinks a lot until now. I just dressed with how everyone else is dressing, which is normal. Again, that is normal, but the extent that I was doing it was not normal, and it was not healthy. That is so sad, and that is so sad to hear. Like, my parents tried so hard to give me every single thing that I needed and every single thing that I wanted. I was a spoiled little girl. I am the first to admit that. I was given whatever I wanted, unless it was like unreasonable, obviously. So it's not like my parents weren't giving me these things. It was like I was getting these things and I was wearing them, and I was like, why am I still not fitting in? So fast forward to my sophomore year. I started dating another guy. We dated actually for I think 7 to 8 months, and I don't know, it was a really good relationship. We both were kind of messed up. I felt like I could be a little bit more honest with him, but also I still had a lot of guards up. Like, I still wanted him to really, really like me. So I was listening to music that he listened to. I was making jokes that he made that I didn't really find funny, I found offensive. And like, I was just trying to be him. I was trying to make him give me my self-worth. Wait, that's another thing. None of these boys tried to change me. None of these boys were like, oh, Rachel, like, you need to stop laughing like that because I don't like it. It was all projections I put on myself. He lied to me about a couple big things that I thought he was done with, and that really rocked a lot. So we broke up before I found out those things, and then I found out those things, and it kind of like messed me up really a lot, because I thought he was this person who I thought he was, and then he actually was another person who wasn't a bad person, but just the fact that we were dating for an entire school year and I didn't know these very humongous facts about him. Now that I'm older, I could see that he kept that person a secret from me because he was dealing with a lot. Nothing else really happened sophomore year. Again, I was dressing for other people. I was constantly, you know, every time I walked out of the house, I had a full face of makeup on. I have a full face of makeup on right now. Okay, but I have a full face of makeup on for myself. Like, obviously, like, there's gonna be some people who are gonna look at this and be like, that is too much makeup, but I like it, so. That's what I did sophomore year, okay? Okay, junior year is when I am going to kind of take backtracks because a lot of stuff happened junior year and it's really important for me to talk about other stuff. I really liked the idea of becoming a flyer, and if you guys don't know what that is, a flyer is the girl that they toss in the air, and up until then I was not able to because I have always been like a little bigger on the bottom, and that's just where I carry my weight, is in my butt and my thighs. Like, your girl is kind of thick. No, I'm not. So like I said earlier, I've always kind of been bigger on the bottom, and it's something I always was conscious of. And it started in junior high when all the other girls were like, oh my gosh, I'm so small, or like, oh my gosh, like, you're so skinny, and they talked to each other being like, oh, you're so skinny, you're so skinny. And this is when I first started trying to like be someone else, and I really, really wanted to be a popular person because all throughout elementary school, I was always the odd man out. I wasn't, I don't know, like, I always had friends, but I wasn't like a ride or die friend, if that makes sense. Like, none of my other recess friends would like care if I didn't show up to school. I never had a best friend. There was always a group, and I was always the last group friend, you know? I wanted it to change. So junior high came around, I met my best friend, and we were super close, and I also wanted to be best friends with the cool kids. So I really, really tried. And when they would go around in a circle talking about how skinny that person was, how that person was pretty in this, and no one would say anything to me, I really noticed it, and it hurt. There was this comment said my 8th grade year that I had a lot of junk in my trunk, and it was already something I was really self-conscious about. I don't know if the girl was bullying me or not, but it's something that, I mean, I'm 21 now, and she said that to me when I was 12, so I remember it. I went home and I Googled weight loss. So yes, that started 8th grade year. Between the summer of 8th grade and freshman year, I had dropped 40 pounds, and I mean, I'm gonna say it, like, I'm not gonna say what my weight is now because I'm self-conscious of my weight now, but I was in 8th grade 135 pounds, and I guess I didn't lose 40. I was 135 pounds and I dropped 35. So I was 100 pounds when I was 14 years old, turning 14, going into my freshman year of high school. And that was a dramatic weight loss. I was calorie restricting, I was working out at cheer. I lost a lot of weight. I lost 30 to 35 pounds. So that dramatic weight loss, I also started wearing different clothes, and I became obsessed with losing weight. I knew that I had dropped that weight, but looking at myself in the mirror, I couldn't see that it was gone. In my eyes, I was still holding on to that 35 pounds. And I didn't even need to lose that 35 pounds in the first place. It kind of started then. And it got worse from there. So my junior year is when I started I was kind of like still at the very end of my growing, and I didn't grow a lot in high school because I wasn't eating enough, and it became so bad that my family would come home with fast food and I would pretend to go eat it in my bedroom and throw it away or flush it in the bathroom. And I feel like I was never really seriously looked at because I wasn't really skinny, if that makes sense. Like, what I mean by that is I'm not saying like I was 100 pounds, 5'2", like that is tiny. I was tiny. But what I'm saying is, for that size and for my age, like that wasn't okay. Like, you can get away with that. But I don't want to say get away with, but you guys know what I'm saying. But I wasn't the picture, like when you think of someone who has an eating disorder, you can tell, right? You can tell if somebody has anorexia. That's what we believe. You can tell if someone is struggling with an eating disorder, and no one could tell. I am so incredibly lucky, and I praise God that I was not as severe as it could have been, because I do have friends or just girls that I've met on the internet that are severe, and you can tell, and people still don't say anything. God really delivered me from that. And while it's still something like my body image I still deal with today, it's something that I am recovered from. I don't feel like if I go work out, I'm going to overwork myself and like that's not going to trigger me anymore. And that is something that God has personally taken from me, because I prayed about it when I was saved, when I became saved. So junior year was the uprise and the end of my eating disorder. And I don't want to say end as in like, oh, junior year's over, I'm fixed. Like, that's not how it happened. Junior year, I didn't know what I was gonna do. This whole high school experience, I kept telling myself, I'm not gonna make it to the stage. I'm not gonna get my diploma. I'm not gonna graduate. Like, something's gonna happen to me. I'm gonna die. I literally felt like I was going to die before I graduated. And that is something that's what I felt. Even my senior year, when things became so amazing, I still felt like this is too good. This is too good for me. And that is something that someone with anxiety and depression and an eating disorder and all of these things, that is something that happens, is you become numb and you think that this isn't for me. This can't be. It's too good. And that is so sad to think that people think that way. So junior year, I didn't know what I was gonna do. I didn't know if I was gonna go to college. I knew that my parents really wanted me to, and I knew that I wanted to get away. I wanted to move to London. I wanted to move to New York. I wanted to move to Los Angeles. I wanted to move far away, start over, not talk to anyone, become a new person, and I wanted that. That's what I wanted. I just thought I needed to survive until the end of high school and then I'll be okay. I thought if I can get through this, then I will be okay. It kind of kicked off to a start. I broke my ankle in a cheer accident, so the first, I think, 4 games, which is like almost half the season, I was on the bench watching everyone else cheer, and that kind of put me, like, it made me really, really depressed because I wasn't even able to perform for my first junior game, and I was really upset about it. So that kind of pushed me into my depressive state, and because of that, I didn't want to go to school. I was in 2 AP classes, and I was taking chemistry as well. So that was a lot for me, a kid who, growing up, I was never good at school. I never liked going to school. But my junior year, I was like, I'm going to push forward. I'm going to do this. I'm going to be good. And then all this started happening, and it all just crumbled. And my grades for my first semester were crap. When I was in high school, our cheer squad had an hour, like our PE was our practice, and then we had practice after school as well. So since I couldn't do anything in the PE, and since I was failing my classes, my teacher told me to go to the library. So for 4th period, I would go check in with him, and then I'd go to the library. This is kind of when my friends really started showing themselves, and I became really close with one person this year. None of my cheer friends really cared. Even my best friends, my 2 best friends, they didn't really, they like knew something was going on with me, but they didn't know what to do, so they just let me be. And this is when I started self-harming. I truly felt like I could not feel anything. And if you guys haven't watched Jeffree Star's collaboration with Shane Dawson, the last episode, so to speak, they talk about this. They talk about self-harm and how Jeffree really struggled with it in his teenage years and even into his adult life. And the way he put it was that he would hurt himself just to feel something. And that is something that, when I heard that, it made me burst into tears, because I recognize with that. So I was always too scared to hurt myself very badly, and I was also really, really scared that my mom would see something and that I would get in trouble. While a lot of people say that self-harm was for attention, I don't 100% believe in that. I do, to a point where it's like, yeah, like I want to hurt myself. Like, yeah, I want attention. I don't want to kill myself. Like, of course I'm doing this for attention. But then it's also like how Jeffree put it, I just wanted to feel something. And even like a cat scratch, I could feel the sting. And I'm not going to go into it anymore because I don't feel like I need to, but I completely changed. In some ways, my junior year of high school, I felt freer than any of my other years in high school. I dressed how I wanted to. I was the little emo kid again, and I listened to bands that I liked. I said what I wanted. I did what I wanted. I was funny. I wasn't trying to please the popular kids, because who cares about them? They left me in the first place. They don't care about me. They didn't care about me, ever. So why would I try to be who this box that they wanted me to be? And they didn't even want me to be it because they didn't care. Why wouldn't I be myself? So in so many ways, junior year opened up a lot in my life. It shaped me into who I am, and it makes me compassionate, and it makes me feel certain things for things that I would not even know about if I did not go through this. And I'm not saying that I'm happy I went through it. No one's ever like that, but I am so happy that I experienced this to where I can help other young girls. And that is something my heart truly aches for, is other girls who feel as though their worth is to be put into boys, or to be put into clothes, or to be put into other kids who are just as lost as they are. this is something that I've always been scared to talk about because I know it hurts my mom, it hurts my dad, it hurts my family when they hear that I was so upset. And it wasn't because they didn't care. It's because I hid it from them. It's because I felt so ashamed of myself that I didn't want them to be ashamed of me as well. Junior year is when I felt so alone. And it's when I turned to the internet. And I know that there's a lot of controversy around making friends on the internet because it's not all the way safe, and I completely agree. It is not all the way safe. These are people that I either never met, I never told them where I lived, or I never gave them my cell phone, or never told them personal information. All of this stuff. Internet safety, do it. Like, be safe on the internet. But when I was talking to these girls who were in another state, they were feeling the same exact thing I was. They were going through the same things I was. They didn't have a lot of friends. They felt alone. They felt like the world was on their shoulders and they just wanted to go away. They felt like they couldn't feel anything, and they felt like they were gonna die before college. So I started following these bands, and I became obsessed with them. They made me so happy, and they were my escape. They were something that I could turn to. So I became really like a fangirl of One Direction and 5 Seconds of Summer, and that's what helped me get through junior year. That and the fandoms that I was a part of on Instagram and Twitter and Tumblr, all of those combined, I felt like I had a community and I could go to, and all these girls had the same interests as me, and they were going through the same things as me. They connected with me, so that helped a lot. And I was getting better. So by the end of junior year, I had told one of my best friends that I had hurt myself, and he told me I needed to go talk to someone other than him because he was 17, and he couldn't help me. He didn't know what I was going through. So he told me I needed to go, and so I went to the school counselor. So when I was talking with a counselor my junior year, she helped me work out a lot of my issues, and it was nothing, and it helped. I started improving, and I started feeling better, and it became, again, one of those things that I felt freer because I wasn't what other people wanted me to be. So that is why I would really encourage you, if you feel like you're having issues and you don't think you can go to an adult, your school probably has a school psychiatrist or psychologist, I'm not really sure. She was a counselor. She had a degree, and she helped. It was, you know, I would go during class if I felt like I needed to, and I would get a pass. So I would go to class, and then I'd be like, I'm here, I need to go to the counselor though. They'd give me a pass. They wouldn't call my mom that I wasn't in class. So it was something I really needed to do, and it helped a lot. By the end of junior year, I was feeling a little bit better, but I was still really struggling with my weight, and I was struggling with what other people thought of me and anxiety. So my depression was getting better, but I still was kind of putting my self-worth into boys. So I really wanted to look good for boys, and I really wanted them to think I look good, and the list continues. I had gotten back onto the cheer squad. I had my other friends who were there for me when stuff was going downhill. I was really healing. I felt bad. I felt like I could do whatever I wanted. I was like, Look at me, I'm a senior. Look at me. I'm gonna move to Los Angeles in a year. I'm gonna be my own person. I'm not gonna have to see you guys no more. Like, I was so happy. That happiness was still masked by a lot of things. I don't even know how to put it, but I was still not happy. Like, it still was harder for me to feel things, and it was something that I was really terrified of. I didn't want to hurt myself, but I needed to feel something. So, senior year is when I was in drama class, and if you guys know me, you know I love to act. And yeah, so I was in drama class, and right next to me, boom, this boy. This boy that one of my best friends had a crush on for 4 years, and I knew about it. So I thought it would be a really good idea for me to talk to this boy, because I didn't like this boy. He was not my type. He looked like a jerk, and he was really quiet, and I just thought he was always rude. Like, he never talked to me. He never, like, even if I was in the same, like, there was an opportunity for him to talk to me and he wouldn't, I'd be like, I didn't like him. I would go up to him and I'd be like, hey, go ask her out. Or like, hey, can you give her a hug? Hey, can you take a picture with her? Hey, can you past 4 years, I knew who this boy was, but I didn't like him. I thought he was a jerk. He didn't like my friend. So I thought, okay, now is my chance. I'm going to talk to him. I'm going to talk up my friend. I'm gonna become his friend, and I'm going to make him my new friend, like my old friend, and it's gonna be amazing. He's gonna love her. She's amazing. Oh my gosh, like, I was so ready to be like the #1 wingman. Guys, biggest backfire of my life. Okay, so I started talking to him, was becoming his friend, and like, he even hung out with a couple of the people that I hung out with, and he was just like really quiet. So I quickly realized that's just who he was. He was quiet, he wasn't rude. I started to like him. I started to really like him. It was in a really different way. So when I started having feelings for him, this was September. And I didn't say anything because I didn't want him. I said this earlier in the video, and I'm going to say it again. I never wanted to be married. I never wanted kids. I never wanted to be with one person. I never wanted to live in Sacramento after I graduated high school. I wanted to leave. I wanted to be another person. That is not a lie. Ask my family. That is the truth. They would tell me like, oh, you're gonna meet a man, you're gonna marry him. I'm like, no. I didn't say anything, and it was completely different because it wasn't like I wanted to be this quiet, shy girl who fit in with him. It was, I just wanted to hang out with him because I found him interesting. So I finally had it to where my friend group could hang out with his friend group, which my friend group was just me and my best friend, so friend group. So we hung out a couple times, and it just became too much for me to keep a secret from her, and I knew I didn't want to do anything about it, so I felt like I could tell her. And I did. I told her at a very terrible time for me to tell her. Like I said before, I was not a Christian yet. That's coming very soon. But I was not a Christian yet. I went to parties, I got drunk, and this particular night, after we hung out with this boy, we went to a party and I got drunk. And my friend drove me to her house, and I told her everything. I told her how much I liked him. I told her how much I wanted him to be with me, and not to make myself feel better, but because I felt like we were good. So obviously it didn't come out like that because I was intoxicated, but I also told her time and time and time and time and again that same time I was not going to do anything about it. I told her, I'm not going to talk to him for you anymore, but I'm also not going to talk to him for me anymore. I'm just not going to talk to him. And that was true. For about 3 weeks, I didn't talk to him. We sat right next to each other And I only talked to him when I needed to because we were in the same play. I didn't talk to him, he didn't really care, like, whatever. This person, she was my bestest friend. She was someone who I could count on no matter what. And if she's watching this, I really, really hope that she accepts my apology. Because, I mean, it's not something that I can say I regret because he's now my husband. But it is something that I really wish I would have came to her when I started hearing these rumors. I think that if I did, we would have been able to talk about it and find somewhere in the middle to meet. So 2 weeks go by, 3 weeks go by. I don't talk to him. And a couple of girls on the cheer squad who are friends with both me and my best friend. And at this time, I am noticing she's very distant. She kind of stopped texting me. We stopped going to lunch together. Just like stuff like that. Like we wouldn't get ready for a game at her house or my house, and it just, I thought she just needed time. I didn't want to bug her because I didn't want to hurt her. I'm learning a lot of different things. I am becoming friends with this boy. I stopped talking to him, but I still had all these questions because I knew that he was a Christian and I knew that I needed something. My testimony is something that, I mean, this is my testimony. Like I said, I knew I needed something and knew I wasn't going to survive. I was alone. And so he was a Christian, my other friend was a Christian, he was actually a pastor's son, and so I went to his church on Easter by myself, and I sat by myself. I felt so incredibly loved, so I was saved, and this was in that 2 to 3 weeks of not talking to this boy. And then one of my friends come up to me and she's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this person, your best friend, said this about you. So instead of me going to her, because I knew that this girl talking to me, she wasn't one of the cheerleaders, I was like, ah. She was like being very honest. She was just telling me, hey, what's up with you guys? And I was like, wow, that's terrible. And that whole week, people had come up to me and said, not even on the cheer squad, just people who were friends with both of us came up to me and said, she called you a slut. She called you this. She called you that. I was heartbroken and I didn't know what to do. So instead of confronting her like I feel like I should have now, not to confront her like, oh, were you talking about me? But like to confront her to be like, hey, what is going on? I didn't. Now she was the one that was saying these things about me. So in my mind, I thought it's over. She's gone. She doesn't want anything to do with me. I started talking to him. And it wasn't starting talking to him like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna piss her off. Like, it was like, I just started talking to him because I needed a friend. So I started really letting my feelings coming out. I was hanging out with him. They were my only friends now. His friend group was my only friends because I felt like everyone on the cheer squad thought that I was what she was saying. I felt alone again. And instead of turning back to self-harm and depression, I turned to love and to God and to my new friends. And I eventually told him I liked him. I am a pretty straightforward person, and if I kind of give you an option or I'm like, I like you, I expect an answer. Okay, an answer better than, I'm not sure of my feelings right now, but I kind of like you. Okay, he likes me then. And we kept talking. He kept talking to me. He kept hanging out with me. So we finished our senior year. We went to prom. We became king and queen. And that's basically the end of high school. If you guys want a more detailed novel, or I guess like a more detailed video about what happened after high school and how we kind of figured out that we were meant for each other, then I will do another video on that, but you do have to request it, so that means you have to like and you have to comment down below. So this video actually took a weirder turn because it was more just like me talking to the camera. It was very just like winging it, and I think I got a lot of what I wanted to get out. Don't be surprised if I do make another video that is kind of more geared towards mental health because I feel like it's something that is really, really important, and I feel like it's something that needs to be talked about. If that's something that's not really your jam, I totally understand. Don't be surprised if it comes up again on my channel. It just needs to be talked about. If you guys need any help, if you need someone to reach out to me. If you don't feel like you can do that, there are links down below that are going to be about suicide awareness. There are helplines. I just want to make sure that you guys are safe, and I want to make sure that you guys are healthy. So if there's anything that I can be praying for you guys, please let me know and talk to me. I'm an open book. A lot of people don't know a lot of this stuff about me. It's not because I don't tell them, it's because it's not talked about. So if somebody were to ask me, how was high school? I would probably tell them this entire thing. Like, yes, please like, please subscribe, please comment, please hit the notification bell. I am still pretty new here, and I'm, learning more and more about YouTube every single day, and I'm making better videos. It's something that I truly, truly enjoy, and next video is actually going to be me talking about why I wanted to start a YouTube video, and it's going to be more of a get to know me. Be on the lookout for that. I upload Mondays and Thursdays. Love you guys so much. Go follow me on Instagram, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!
Yeah, I wanna be talking about me, but apparently we need 3D authority. We need watches and chains and a whole lot of talk. Boy, without a Lamborghini you will never get a call. Boy, within a short life, how you gonna stand tall? Are you even planning on making it through it all? Psh, forget it, no stress, and I said it.